Have you ever wondered why your parents' love feels so painful? Do you always feel judged, manipulated, or controlled in a relationship with the very people who are supposed to protect and love you the most? They say they love you, but why does that love make you feel guilty, exhausted, and never good enough? Have you ever found yourself tiptoeing around them to avoid making them angry, or constantly feeling guilty because they made you believe you were the problem? If any of this sounds familiar, you are not alone, and trust me, you are not crazy. Growing up with a narcissistic parent, you were taught that their love is something you have to earn by being obedient, successful, or by ignoring your own needs. But here's the bitter truth. What they call love is not really love. It's control. It's manipulation. It's a way to keep you under their power, ensuring that you exist to meet their needs, not your own. And the worst part? They make you believe it's your fault. But today, we're exposing the truth. We'll dive into why narcissistic parents behave this way, how their version of love distorts your perception of yourself, and most importantly, how you can break free, because you deserve real love, not a lifetime of guilt and obligation. If you've ever felt trapped, drained, or like you're carrying the weight of a relationship that only benefits them, this video is for you. It's time to stop merely surviving and start taking back your life. Let's uncover the truth together. If you've ever felt like something was off in the way your parent treated you, but you couldn't quite put it into words, this is your moment of clarity. Real love doesn't make you feel afraid. It doesn't make you question your worth. And it certainly doesn't trap you in a cycle of guilt. Narcissistic parents have a very distinct way of loving, a love laced with conditions, manipulation, and control. But how do you know for sure that it's not just in your head? Let's break down the undeniable signs of a narcissistic parent right now. If you've lived through this, or if you recognize this pain in others, drop a 1 in the comments. You are not alone, and the truth is waiting for you. 1. Lack of empathy when your feelings don't exist. One of the biggest red flags of a narcissistic parent is their lack of empathy. They don't just ignore your feelings. They dismiss, mock, or even belittle them. To them, you're not an individual with your own thoughts and emotions. You're just an extension of them, a tool they can control and manipulate. And it doesn't stop when you grow up. Imagine you've just had an incredibly stressful day at work. Your boss was harsh, deadlines are piling up, and all you want is someone to listen and reassure you. You call your mother, hoping for comfort, but instead of empathy, she shrugs off your feelings, telling you you're overreacting, being dramatic, or even blaming you for the situation. Or worse, she makes it about herself. You think you had a bad day. Back in my day, I worked twice as hard and never complained. No listening, no reassurance, just invalidating your experience and shifting the focus back to them. Growing up with a narcissistic parent, you learn to suppress your emotions because you know no one will listen, no one will care. You start questioning your own feelings, wondering if you're just being too sensitive. And this makes you vulnerable in other relationships because you've been conditioned to accept being ignored. 2. The need for admiration, when image matters more than you. For a narcissistic parent, being admired isn't just a desire, it's a necessity. They don't just crave praise, they depend on it to feel worthy. Everything needs to look perfect. The way they talk, the way they present themselves, and most importantly, the image they project through you. And here's the harsh reality. You're not seen as an individual in their eyes. You're a reflection of the image they want to show the world. A narcissistic parent doesn't push you towards success because they want you to be happy. They push you because your success is their achievement. They may force you to get straight A's, join elite extracurriculars, or win prestigious awards. Not because you love these things, but because they need something to brag about. And if you don't meet their expectations, they're disappointed, ashamed, or even see you as a failure. Imagine landing your first job, a big accomplishment that you're proud of, but instead of celebrating, your parent says, "That's it? Do you know what your cousin/friend's kid has accomplished? You're embarrassing me." Or if you do achieve something great, they'll make it about themselves. "You wouldn't be here without me. Everything you have is because of how I raised you, when your success only matters if it makes them look good and your failures are seen as their shame. You're not a person with dreams and passions. You're just a tool to feed their ego. 3. Sense of entitlement when everything must revolve around them. A narcissistic parent doesn't just want special treatment, they demand it. They believe that the world owes them respect, obedience, and privileges, regardless of whether they've earned it. Rules don't apply to them. Responsibilities belong to others, and you, their child, are expected to ensure that they are always the priority. Whatever they want, they expect you to provide. Your time, money, energy, even your future. If they want it, you must give it. And if you dare say no, they will make you feel like the worst child on the planet. They'll guilt-trip you. After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me. They'll shame you for setting boundaries. You're so selfish, you only think about yourself. They'll make you the villain. This family is falling apart, and it's all because of you. Imagine you're in the middle of a stressful work week. You're exhausted and just need some time for yourself. But instead of respecting that, your narcissistic parent calls you in the middle of the night, demanding that you fix their problem immediately, because their needs always come first. And if you say you can't, that's unacceptable. They will guilt, manipulate, or even cut you off as punishment. To them, you are not an individual with your own rights. You are a possession. 4. Manipulation and control. When love becomes a chain, a narcissistic parent doesn't raise you to be free. They condition you to obey. They don't just want to influence your life, they want complete control over it, and they will do whatever it takes to keep you under their grip, whether it's sweet talk, guilt-tripping, or outright threats. You don't get to make your own choices. They design your future, and you are expected to bring it to life for them. They dictate your career, your friendships, and how you live. And if you dare to push back, they'll make you believe you're the one who's wrong, disloyal, or ungrateful. Narcissistic parents love to act like they're doing what's best for you, but the truth is, they don't care about your happiness. They care about keeping control. They manipulate through guilt. I gave up everything for you, and this is how you treat me? They instill fear. If you go down that path, don't expect any support from this family. They punish you with silence. If you won't follow my rules, then don't expect to be part of this family. Imagine you dream of pursuing art, but your parents insist you become a doctor or lawyer, not because they believe in your potential, but because they want to brag about you. If you refuse, they'll make you feel guilty, isolated, or even doubt your own choices. To them, you're not a person with dreams. You're a piece of their master plan. 5. Envy and jealousy when your success becomes a threat. Have you ever noticed that your parent doesn't seem truly happy when you achieve something? They may downplay your success, overshadow your moment, or even make you feel guilty for shining too bright. If this sounds familiar, then you might be dealing with a narcissistic parent consumed by envy. As ironic as it sounds, narcissistic parents can be jealous of their own children. They envy your youth, your opportunities, and even your confidence, things they feel they have lost or never had. Their envy isn't just words, it's sabotage. They may create obstacles to hold you back, whether it's by refusing financial support, discouraging you from following your dreams, or even setting up situations for you to fail. And the saddest part? They don't want you to be happier, more successful, or have a better life than they did. Worse, in some cases, this jealousy can turn into emotional or even physical abuse. They may punish you for shining too bright, for stepping outside their control. But here's what you need to remember. Their envy says nothing about your worth. It speaks volumes about their own insecurity. The insults, the manipulation, the barriers they place in your way aren't because you're not good enough. It's because they can't handle the fact that you are. Family is supposed to be a place of love, protection, and growth, but with a narcissistic parent, it becomes the source of your deepest wounds. Growing up in this toxic environment leaves behind invisible scars, not just in your heart, but in every aspect of your life, from self-worth and relationships to mental and physical health. 1. Destroyed self-esteem. When you believe you're never good enough, one of the most common effects of being raised by a narcissistic parent is the erosion of self-esteem. When the very people who were supposed to uplift and encourage you constantly criticize, dismiss your achievements, or compare you to others, you begin to believe that you are not worthy, not good enough, and not deserving of love. You can't do anything right. Look at other kids. Why can't you be like them? You're not as smart as your sibling. Hearing these words over and over shapes the voice inside your head, making you doubt yourself, fear failure, and constantly feel like you'll never measure up. 2. Guilt and shame. When you always feel like you're at fault. Narcissistic parents don't just control your actions, they control your emotions. They make you believe that everything wrong in the family is your fault, or that you should be ashamed of who you are. They blame you for family issues. If you were a better child, we wouldn't have these problems. They make you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself. You're so selfish, you only think about yourself. They shame you for things beyond your control. Why can't you be prettier, smarter, more successful? This guilt and shame don't just stay in your childhood, it follows you into adulthood, making it difficult to feel worthy, happy, and deserving of good things. 3. Anxiety and depression. When even home wasn't safe. When your parent is the source of your fear, how can you ever feel secure? Growing up in an environment where anger can explode at any moment, love is conditional, and everything feels like a battlefield can trap you in lifelong anxiety and depression. You're always on edge, afraid of making mistakes for fear of punishment. You feel mentally drained, struggling to find joy in life. You may feel hopeless, as if no one truly cares about you. 4. Struggles with relationships when you don't know what love really is. If the first love you ever experienced came with manipulation, control, and conditions, how can you trust real love? Many people raised by narcissistic parents struggle to form healthy relationships because they don't trust others, afraid of being hurt the way they were before. They gravitate toward narcissistic partners because that's what feels familiar. They constantly seek validation, even if it means enduring toxic relationships. As a result, they may unknowingly fall into the same abusive dynamics they desperately wanted to escape. 5. The physical toll. When stress becomes part of your body. Chronic stress from a toxic home doesn't just affect your mind, it damages your body too. Children of narcissistic parents often struggle with insomnia, headaches, and digestive issues caused by long-term anxiety, a weakened immune system, making them prone to illness. Eating disorders, using food as a way to cope with emotional pain. You're not just carrying emotional wounds, your body is suffering too. The wounds caused by a narcissistic parent don't just disappear, they can shape how you see yourself, love, and life itself. But recognizing them is the first step toward reclaiming your power. In the next section, we'll explore strategies to break free from this cycle, rebuild your self-esteem, set healthy boundaries, and finally, live the life you truly deserve. Dealing with a narcissistic parent is a profound challenge, and there is no one-size-fits-all solution. The healing journey requires courage, self-awareness, and persistence to break free from the toxic patterns that have shaped your life for years. The strategies below are not magic fixes, but they are tools to help you regain control of your life. And most importantly, seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. Recognizing the truth. No more self-deception. The first and most crucial step is accepting reality. This doesn't mean blaming or resenting your parent, but rather acknowledging the behaviors that have harmed you and the impact they've had. Denying the truth only prolongs the pain. You can't heal a wound if you pretend it doesn't exist. You must recognize that they may lack empathy, constantly manipulate and exert control over you. Their love comes with conditions, jealousy, and an insatiable need for validation. They may never change. Once you accept this truth, you can begin taking steps to free yourself. Setting boundaries. Learning to say no. Boundaries are not about revenge or cutting off your parent. They are about protecting your mental and emotional well-being. Narcissistic parents excel at making you feel guilty and violating your boundaries, so standing firm is essential. Start small. Limit the time you spend talking to them, avoid engaging in arguments, and hold your ground when they attempt to manipulate you. When they use guilt to control you, remind yourself that their emotions are not your responsibility. Setting boundaries is not disrespectful, it is a declaration that you will no longer tolerate their harmful behavior. Managing expectations. Stop waiting for them to change. One of the hardest things to accept is that your parent may never become the loving and supportive figure you long for. They might promise change, offer apologies, but often these are just tactics to pull you back into the cycle of abuse. Accepting that they may never truly take responsibility or offer genuine love is a form of self-protection. This does not mean you are giving up on them as a person. It means adjusting your expectations so you don't keep setting yourself up for disappointment. You can't control their actions, but you can control how you respond and the life you choose to build. The grey rock technique. When no reaction is power. Narcissistic parents thrive on emotional reactions. They provoke, manipulate, and use your responses to maintain control. One of the most effective strategies to counter this is the grey rock method. This technique is simple but requires patience. Avoid engaging in emotional debates. Don't share personal information they can use against you, and keep conversations short and shallow. When you stop giving them the reactions they crave, they eventually lose interest in manipulating you. This isn't about creating distance for the sake of it, but rather a way to shield yourself from their emotional control and toxic cycles. Self-care. Putting yourself first. Growing up with a narcissistic parent, you may have spent your entire life trying to please them, neglecting your own needs in the process. Now is the time to shift your focus back to yourself. Reconnect with activities that bring you joy, whether it's journaling, exercising, meditation, or simply allowing yourself to relax without guilt. Prioritizing your well-being is essential. Create habits that strengthen your mental and physical health. You are no longer bound by their expectations. You have the right to pursue the life you truly want. Seeking support. You are not alone. Dealing with a narcissistic parent can feel incredibly isolating, but you don't have to go through it alone. Finding a therapist who specializes in trauma can help you process the pain and develop the inner strength to move forward. Connecting with support groups can also provide a sense of community and understanding. Knowing that others have experienced the same struggles can be incredibly validating. You are not responsible for what your parent did to you, but you are responsible for how you heal and move forward. You may not be able to change the past, but you can take control of your future. You deserve a life of freedom. Healing from the effects of a narcissistic parent is not a linear journey. There will be days when you feel strong and others when you feel pulled back into old wounds. That's okay. What matters is that you keep moving forward. Every boundary you set is a step toward reclaiming your power. Every time you choose yourself over guilt, you break free from their control. You no longer have to shrink yourself to make them comfortable. You no longer have to live in their shadow. You have the right to be free. You have the right to be happy, and you deserve that. If you've listened this far into the video, I want you to know that you've taken an incredibly important step. You are choosing to acknowledge the truth and take back control of your life. Dealing with a narcissistic parent is not just an emotional challenge, it's a journey that requires persistence, awareness, and most importantly, self-compassion. Dr. Ramani Devasula, one of the leading experts on narcissistic personality disorder, once said, "You cannot change a narcissistic parent, but you can change how you respond to them." This is one of the most crucial things to remember. You cannot make them more loving, you cannot make them see their mistakes, and you cannot expect them to suddenly change. But what you can do, and what you absolutely have the right to do, is protect yourself, set boundaries, and find happiness outside of their control. Healing is not a straight path. There will be days when you feel strong and in control, but there will also be days when old feelings resurface: guilt, fear, self-doubt. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're growing. Dr. Jonas Webb, an expert on childhood emotional neglect, emphasizes, "Forgive yourself for believing that something was wrong with you. There was never anything wrong with you. The issue was the environment you grew up in. Everything you've been through is not because you weren't good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. You are not to blame for your parents' inability to love you the way you needed, but you do have the power to choose how you move forward. You can stay trapped in past wounds, or you can stand up, reclaim your power, and build the life you deserve. You deserve a life where you are free to express yourself, where you are loved unconditionally, and where you can pursue what truly makes you happy. You don't have to keep living in their shadow. And if you ever feel stuck, seek support. A therapist can help you process the pain, a support group can offer understanding, and most importantly, you can give yourself the chance to heal. Leave a comment below if you've experienced this, or if you're in the process of breaking free from a narcissistic parent. You are not alone. There is an entire community here ready to listen. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. You deserve freedom. You deserve a life where you don't need anyone's permission to be happy.